Hey everyone, welcome back to Integrative Psychonautics. I hope you've been doing well out there. So in today's video, I wanted to kind of bring it all back to the basics and kind of boil down some of the information that I've shared on this channel back to the real kind of core essentials for you. And so in today's video, I wanted to kind of address or explore this question of what is it that actually makes lasting change? What are the things that we need in order to actually create transformation, not just for a moment or in a glimpse, but in a way that sticks, that integrates, that turns into real significant change over the course of time in our lives. So if that interests you, watch on. Okay, so as I like to do these days, before we go ahead and start unpacking all the content in the video, I wanted to just give you a bit of commentary up front here before we go ahead and dive in. So my thinking with this video is that I wanted to see if I could just kind of bring back to basics, back to the essentials, something that I can hand over to you in terms of an understanding of what creates real, lasting, robust, deep change and transformation. I've been exploring this question for years as a coach and, as someone looking to heal and transform myself, as someone into personal development. There are a lot of techniques out there. There are a lot of angles and perspectives on it. And what I'm going to share here with you is, in my opinion, the three things that I found to be really the consistent tools, the robust, accurate, science-based, fairly usable, practical, consistent tools that create real lasting change in our lives. These can show up in all kinds of different ways. There's definitely ways that these can be done very creatively or very simply. But if you want to understand how it is that you're going to create real lasting healing, real lasting transformation, real lasting growth in terms of new habits, new mindsets, new ways of being, new sense of self, new identification, this kind of a thing, I wanted to give you what I understand to be like the real kernel here, the real core, the real meat, if you will. And so that's what we're about to talk about here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and unpack what these three things are. And by the way, I didn't really say it in the context section just now, but I think of each of these as being something that can be used in kind of any phase of the work. So whether we're talking prep work, whether we're talking during a transformational experience, whether that's psychedelic or otherwise, or whether we're talking during integration and really bringing that back into the rest of our personality structure, the rest of our lived experience. I see each of these techniques working in any of those kind of parts of the flow here. So just want to kind of put that out there. So the first one I want to mention here is something that is very much at the heart of the neuroscience of how our brain rewires itself, very much at the heart of how it is that we neutralize, a traumatic memory or a charged experience, and then wire in what it is that we want to experience. And this is what's called memory reconsolidation. Memory reconsolidation is the fundamental principle upon which most therapeutic change is operating when therapy works properly. Memory reconsolidation essentially is when we are taking some kind of problem, neural circuitry in our life or issue or charged kind of area of our life, and we're taking some neural circuit that's kind of positively charged. So this might be a strong memory, a strong belief, a strong emotional state, a strong learning, that kind of a thing. And we are connecting the dots between the two neurologically in a specific sequence. There's a particular way that you have to go about applying memory reconsolidation work for it to really integrate and stick. And sometimes you need to go through multiple iterations to really get it to deeply create this unwiring and transformational effect. But essentially, when we bring these two pieces together, our resource state and the problem state, and we bring them and we connect them, what ends up happening is that all the charge, all the drama, all the meaning, all the emotion, all the intensity is taken out of the problem or the issue or the whatever it is that's kind of causing the issue. And then it becomes neutralized. And often what emerges is this deeper sense of resource, this sense of reorganizing what that meaning is, redefining the memory, putting the memory, clearly and cleanly in the past and no longer kind of putting it in our future or in our present. There's just kind of this softening and this falling away of the charge. And what's left is peace, relaxation, centeredness, the ability to talk about something that might have been really traumatic or painful or intense with absolute peace. And often, what emerges is this newer understanding of ourselves in the wake of that, which is I'm capable of healing. I'm more than my issues. I'm more than my past, et cetera, this kind of a thing. So the first one here is memory reconsolidation. And I would say that this is kind of one of the best kept secrets in the therapy and neuroscience world. For me, it's a topic that should be, everyone should be shouting about it from the rooftops in terms of psychedelic therapy and in terms of therapy in general. And yet it's almost never spoken about. So from my point of view, this is something that is absolutely core and essential to the healing process, the transformation process, that I never see clinicians or people running studies or anybody talking about. If you know about this little corner of neuroscience and transformational work, then you know. But if you don't, this is kind of that missing piece. And so for me, this is absolutely central. This is the principle upon which, when healing takes place during a psychedelic session, that's what's happening. When a good therapy session or good hypnotherapy session, in my case, a good coaching session, a healing moment. Sometimes we just have these moments in life where we have like a healing and we don't really know what happened or why, but something changed in a positive way and we just end up feeling better. This is usually what's happening underneath the surface. So anyways, enough rambling about that. Memory reconsolidation would be the first one. Okay, so the second thing that I've noticed creates robust, lasting change is probably more in alignment with what is understood in different modalities of therapy or like trauma work, this kind of stuff. And this would be the importance of safe connection. The presence, the role of safe connection in our healing process. So what I've been kind of playing with and discovering and really integrating into my own work here and really understanding lately is that when we have that felt sense of safe connection, and I'll try to unpack what I mean by connection because that's kind of abstract and vague. When we have this sense of safe connection around whatever it is that we want to work on or want to heal, it's the precondition. It is the initial thing that our nervous system needs to feel is met in order to be able to kind of open up and move and change and rearrange and release, stress, pain, trauma, issues, fears, old core beliefs. This is the lock. This is the lock that when we put this key in of safe connection, opens it up and unlocks the whole thing to start to move. Now, in traditional therapy, I think it's accurate to say that traditional therapy done right, there is this felt sense of safe connection, right? Where the therapist is providing a non-judgmental, accepting, open-minded, affirming, compassionate, patient, non-abandoning, non-dismissing presence where they're really tuned into you and you get this feeling, oh, they're paying attention, they're with me, this is a warm, safe person that I can relate to. They're not trying to distance themselves from me, judge me, shame me, shut me out, right? This is also, again, and this is a message I'm going to be saying over and over and over because it's absolutely massive, this is what we need to experience ultimately internally. We need to be able to relate to ourselves, to the different parts of our personality, to our identity, to our emotions, to our memories, to our child parts, our adult parts, our teenager parts. We need to be able to relate to all of that also through this same lens of safe connection. Now, I want to just kind of explain a little bit about what I mean about safe connection here, because when I talk about this, it's easy for people to misconstrue that this only means being sweet, only means being nice, only means being like really saccharine and lovey-dovey and ultra tender with yourself or in relationship with others, or this is how therapists should be with you. And I don't think that's necessarily true or an accurate understanding of it. I think safe connection is just this space of not feeling judged, of feeling heard and seen, of feeling connected with, so that there's a sense of connection there. You're not supposed to use the word in the defining of the thing. Sorry. This sense of rapport, this sense of mutual understanding, this sense of I'm not going to be abandoned if I share this. This is a comfortable, welcoming space, right? So it can feel like just being seen. It can feel like just being observed. It can feel like just being acknowledged and, related to in kind of a really grounded, relaxed way around whatever our content is, rather than someone who gets, kind of dismissive of it or judgy about it or this kind of a thing. And so this space of safe relating, of connected, safe relating, is deeply important for human beings across the board. It's important in our relationships in general. It's important for healthy personal development when we're young. So, as we're growing into, from babies and infants to, adulthood, this presence of safe, secure relating needs to be there for us to be like relationally healthy. It's also something, again, that we want to be integrating and internalizing. Now, I've been playing with this particular dynamic a lot in my coaching work lately as being really key in terms of the foundation of how I'm showing up with my clients. And it is wild. I heard about this a long time ago. I heard about the importance of safety, secure relating, how important it is to show up in a non-judgmental kind of way, non-abandoning way in life. And I'd heard this, I kind of understood it, intellectually as a kind of distant concept that this is one way to do therapy or one way that therapists should approach the work. What I didn't realize is that simply the presence of that way of relating, when demonstrated consistently, will invite the deeper self, the unconscious mind, the core self, to start unloading and offloading stress, trauma, fear. And it's like the things that have been locked away, the content that a lot of people struggle to try to access, it just starts bubbling up to the surface in the presence of this felt sense of safety. And so, like, what I really want to hammer home here for you guys is that the simple presence of safe relating is a powerfully transformative thing that if you can, experience or demonstrate with yourself consistently enough, what will start to happen is the unconscious mind will start to just release the stuff. It'll start to bring it up. It'll start to connect the dots, and all of a sudden you'll have these huge cathartic emotional releases. And what tends to happen is as these kind of what are called completions or corrective experiences start to happen, right, where we have this big cathartic release, right? The corrective experience is the presence of the secure relationship that's helping us to feel safe enough to offload. As we have that kind of completion of whatever emotion or insight or thing that we, might have been locked away in our nervous system, as we start to experience that, it moves up and out, and then the nervous system reconsolidates that meaning, and all of a sudden there's no more charge there. The emotion's gone, the fear's gone, the thing that we were struggling with is suddenly just not an issue. It just completes, right? And so this is the second one. Again, we're talking here about what are the core consistent things that create lasting transformation. And it's weird to say that just safe, secure relating is such a powerful tool that it creates lasting transformation in your life. But in my experience, this is really true. So I want you to really get that. Let's talk about the third one. Okay, and the third one, which is often massively overlooked, really starts to get more into the practicals, and I think leans more towards what we see in personal development work than often what we see in therapeutic work. And this is the importance of small habits repeated often. This is a very powerful tool for big, huge results in your life, right? So how do I, once I've experienced an opening in myself or a shift in perception or touched a new state, a new way of being that I really like, that I want to integrate into myself and I want to have more of in my life, how do I do that? How do I turn that into a lasting thing rather than just kind of a transient state that kind of floats through and then, kind of drifts off into the past with everything else? Well, the answer there in a huge way, and this is a huge key to proper real deal integration, is micro habits or building small habits of, whether this is habits of perception, habits of touching a certain place in yourself, habits of, actions you take, habits of, ways that you relate to yourself, habits of ways that you relate to others, habits that you build in terms of how you structure your day, what actions you take, what actions you omit and don't take. The key here is small. Right. And so this is the thing that a lot of people don't get. A lot of times when we want to change our lives, we think in these big chunks of grandiose achievement that when I have this thing, then things will be really different in my life. And generally speaking, if you think about anything that you've learned that you like to do, whether that's riding a bike or a sport or a creative skill or what have you, right? Something that you learned in life that, let's say, was elective or optional, or even things that you had to learn, like tying your shoes, for example, drinking from a glass without spilling it all over yourself. These kinds of things were learned through small iterations, right? Small attempts, small takes that slowly you kind of adapted your way through and got stable and got eventually good at. And so this is the process of learning. We learn to do anything. We integrate anything into that kind of muscle memory level of learning by iterating it over and over and over and over and making mistakes and then correcting the mistakes. We kind of fail upwards, if you want to think of it that way. And generally speaking, the reason we want to go small with this stuff is the smaller it is, the easier it is to do. Right? So we kind of stack wins. We stack these small little wins. Oh, I could do that. I could do that. Oh, what happens? I bet I could. Let me try that. I bet I could do that. And oh, maybe now that I can do that, maybe I can do a little more. Oh, I could do that. Wow. And all of a sudden you've got a skill set. Right? And that skill set, could be, again, something elective, like, learning how to dance, or, learning how to edit videos or whatever it is. But this can also be true for internal states, for internal ways of being, like somatic ways of being. How do I feel in my body? How do I view myself? How do I view my relationships? What are the thoughts I think? What are the emotions I embody and allow to move through me? These kinds of things that we start to get glimpses of in transformational moments, again, whether that's therapy or whether that's psychedelics. These things, if habituated through small brief moments of habituation over time, add up into really robust lasting change, right? So we can create these big kind of neutralizations of issues, or wiring in, habituating in, resources and strengths and new skills and new ways of being. When we put all of these together, memory reconsolidation work, secure connection, safe connection, and then, consistent, persistent, small micro habits iterated over and over and over more frequently, that's really where we start to see massive, massive gains. And I guess the last thing I'll say about kind of micro habits and these small habits is that, you would be surprised how quickly even a little bit of doing a small habit turns into a much bigger result than you think. I see this over and over and over in my own life, where there's something I want to learn, there's something I want to pick up, there's something I need to integrate or do or develop into. And I'm often kind of like feel like it's kind of a big goal. It's going to be far away. It's going to take me a long time to get there. And yet the more I just start to do it a little bit and reward myself for just doing it, I'm often shocked at how, even when I'm still in that beginner phase of just iterating, how I'm already starting to make massive leaps and bigger gains than I thought possible. So I would encourage you not to discount these small actions, these small kind of, steps you take, even if they seem too doable or too simple. I would encourage you to not discount those as valid or valuable, because you'll be shocked if you iterate them, do them more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. As you start to do it more and more, your growth will be kind of exponential. So this is a very, there's science around this as well. These are very robust ways that we know long-term lasting change can happen. So when you stack all of these together, these are really what's at the heart of transformational work. This is really the territory and what we're up to in a transformational process. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that all with you. I hope this is useful. I hope this is clarifying. And when you go back and you start to look at all these different schools of therapy and schools of psychology and personal development work and psychedelic work and shamanic work and spiritual healing and all this stuff, go back and look at it through these lenses. Through this lens of connecting, again, resource states to problems as a transformational tool, again, as creating this, the requirement of this kind of secure, safe connection space that really invites like real healing and real transformational stuff to come up. And then think about micro habits and how we can stack micro habits to really create real lasting transformation in our life. I think what you'll see as you start to think about all this is that these are consistent themes in all of those schools of thought, schools of work. Anyways, we'll wrap it here. Much love to you all. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.